if you're highly successful, wealthy, competent, and they collect all that information on a resume, and it goes to a sperm bank where a successful professional woman goes and pays $20,000 for IVF or something like that, goes through a catalog and said, I'll take this guy, 6'6", blonde hair, blue eyes, financial, the fucking song that they all sing, sort of stuff like that. But still, at the end of the day, there's no father in the picture, right? There's no man in the household. And we've all seen the data. I mean, maybe you haven't. I'll have to share it on a dedicated podcast. Maybe I'll make that next week. But the data clearly suggests that fathers actually do better than single mothers raising a child by themselves. And single mothers, by a wide margin, don't do a very good job. The vast majority of the incarcerated, the vast majority of teenage gang activity, the vast majority of teenage pregnancies, the vast majority of suicide attempts and successful suicides, the vast majority of, I can go right down the list, shitty grades in school, degenerate teenage behavior, all comes from single mother households. You have to have a masculine male role model in the house to generate a useful, productive member of society. The vast majority of the times, I mean, it's not always true in that case, but the vast majority of the time, you're far better off having a father in the household than not having a father. So even from the perspective where they pay you some money for your top shelf seed and they sell it to a professional judge or something like that, that's 40, that missed the boat on having a kids, but still has a small fertility window and can get IVF and pay for a nanny to raise the kid while she goes off in the courts and smashes a hammer all day long, sort of like that, thinking that, it's a good strategy. I don't think that it's a win from any angle for a guy. And when you unplug and you see the code in the matrix, as I like to say, and you navigate life a little bit better, you recognize this is not a good path. Now, for those of you that wonder what is a better path, and let me put the banner up over here because I talk about this not enough. Where is it? Here it is, down over here at the bottom. The School of Unplugging, it's a $50 a month membership. It has 45 plus hours worth of content. And one of the modules, which is almost 3 hours long, breaks down, if you want to be a father, breaks down the best way to minimize the risk and to optimize the potential for positive outcome on the back end. That's, you want to have kids, this is the way to do it, right? And there's lots of other useful information, and there's Zoom calls in there, and there's all kinds of useful stuff that, you probably want to contemplate. But just go to school.com/the School of Unplugging. You can dive down the rabbit hole of getting all the premium content that I don't have 3 hours to make on YouTube for free. I hope that you guys, appreciate that the value's there. I'm sure if you're watching right now, you know that it is. Let me grab some call-ins over here and see what we got, because I got a little bit of time for that. What we got? Maybe 20, 30 minutes. Let's give it to CG first over here. Add the stage. CG, what's up, buddy? What do you got for me?
Hey, Rich, how's it going, man? Thanks for having me on. Just more just commentary. This story is wild, man. It is wild. I think that this guy didn't have anybody in his corner really looking out for him or seeing the bigger picture. Mm-hmm. And I think that the woman in this case, she was older, and the narrative is that if you've got two people together in like a relationship, the older person tends to prey on the younger person. Like that's the narrative that people will say, especially if it's the guy that's older and the woman that's younger. And I think the genders were flipped in this case, and she probably took advantage of this guy, not knowing, what his value was, even though he's a younger guy, seemed like come like a good background and whatnot. But nobody was advising him to maybe take a step back and look at what's going on here.
Two-parent household. You saw the photographs of the parents. Like it seems like they're clearly well off by judging the spaces that he lives in, whether it's his house or his parents' house that he's broadcasting from. But I don't think that he, like the problem with young men and, women in general too, is they don't seek counsel. And even if adequate counsel is provided, are they obedient to the counsel that's provided? Like I even have guys that I know that are in my community that have been there for a couple of years, and they arrive there because of chaos, because they made some bad choices, and you counsel them on it. And then they literally go back to the exact same place that they were and make another stupid ass decision. Yeah. Right. And then they invite more chaos into their life. Right. So, like I said earlier, I think humans are masters of one thing, and that's complicating their life and justifying why they do it. And, this is just one example of it. So even if he did seek counsel, would he have listened? Like maybe he thought she was hot. Maybe they were drinking. Maybe it was like, no strings attached story. I'm sure that like she's very conniving. You can tell by the way that the story sort of unfolded that she's very manipulative. She's very conniving. She probably has some kind of a personality disorder. And they create, not him, but her and whoever it is that she banged, not this guy who's clearly not the father, but they created a child to be raised in a chaotic way all over social media with other influencers, trying to support, the woman rather than look for the facts. And you're going to have basically another psychopathic single mom probably on our hands in about 25 years, maybe doing the same thing to another guy, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's pure evil.
Yeah, he joined the chaos, man. And one last thing I'll just leave with is a lot of people will say in the women's defense, like, "Oh man, not all women are like that." It's like, yeah, okay, fine, but it's not the fact that they are not going to take action or it's the fact that they can.
Yeah,
and they're going to have reinforcements of that through the court system, society, that kind of narrative, which is unfortunate, but that's the reality of the scenario, and that's kind of what I want to leave with, just some commentary, man. But it's definitely a wild scenario.
Yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate you popping in.
Yeah.
The whole "not all women are like that" narrative, guys, like take that around behind the back of the barn, beat it with a stick and bury it 6 feet under. It's the dumbest story I keep hearing over and over again. Not all women are like that. Not all women are going to be like, do that. It's like, yeah, but they can. And if you incentivize, if you have laws, which family law exists, like if you pass laws through family courts in North America that incentivize bad behavior, you are going to have human beings and women that will leverage opportunities in family law to extract resources and change people's lives. They don't fucking care, right? It's, oh, they'll tell you a story. Oh, just nut in me. It'll be totally fine. No strings attached. I'll have a kid. Don't worry about it. I can pay for everything. Everything's fine. I got a good job, blah, blah, blah. I'm sure some version of that story happened to our, friend here that we just watched the 6-part series in. But, like, this is what can happen. So in order to navigate slippery slopes, one, you have to become aware of it. That's the whole point of this podcast series. That's the whole point of my book, The Unplugged Alpha. Get it if you haven't read it. You find it on Amazon. It's a bestseller for a reason. You will get more than its weight in, like, its value is priceless. Go look at the reviews. Okay. People are loving the content that's in it. They're loving the stuff that we're talking about here. Dive down the rabbit hole. Even if you're skeptical, it's a fucking $10 book. Okay. Just get it and read it. Start there if you're new to all this. But make sensible choices. The vast majority of the problems that we run into today can be resolved. And I can do the same thing for women too. I don't think women listen as much as guys do, but I mean, I could create an entire series about the unplugged babe or whatever and like talk to women specifically. But the entire collection of difficulties, bad results, lawsuits, you run down the list. You can collectively sum it up as shitty selection process, with the terrible belief system. And if you make better choices in life, you can avoid all of those. All right, guys, I really hope that you enjoyed that clip. If you want to check out the full-length podcast episode, you can find that right over here. Also, make sure you visit my website over here where you'll find my supplements, the opportunity to book me privately one-on-one for coaching, and most importantly, my new School of Unplugging, which you'll find on the courses tab. Newer to the channel, hit subscribe.